Okay, so time to get this going. So we have another grifter, and you will see why. Let's get into it. Our Talk Radio, live in 4K.
I want to start off by just wishing you a happy Mother's Day. It just passed. How was your Mother's Day first and foremost?
Oh man, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. I got a chance to spend time with my daughter, and I got to do it out here in Dallas, so I'm excited about that.
There you go. There you go. So off the rip, man, I got to ask you, do you feel a Mother's Day is revered and a Father's Day is feared in the Black community?
I wouldn't say feared for Father's Day. I will say Mother's Day is revered. Mothers are typically always revered. And so what can you do but continue a pattern that you've had your whole life?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Do you feel like black men just in general get scared when Father's Day come around? Do they get scared? Because a lot of them, because they know they ain't in their child life. So of course they're going to get scared. It's funny.
Scared, or they just don't care. I mean, some of you women, you did pick these men, and they will say, "Oh, well, you're victim blaming." No, it takes two to make a baby. It takes two to agree to something. It takes two to agree to go to bed together, unprotected, and have kids. So there's that.
Funny, because I was having this conversation with somebody, and I was like, "Man, Mother's Day is such a special thing in the Black community. We respect it so much, but I do know a lot of guys who would probably turn their phone off during Father's Day to not get whatever backlash, because a man can do everything what he feels is good for a child, but for some reason we just get graded differently. I feel when it comes to Father's Day, like, man, they'll treat your last week like your last year. And when I say they, I mean as women or the mothers. They'll treat it like you just been fucked up all year. And I'm like, it might have been a bad week leading up to Father's Day. And then it's like, man, we get no love of the kid. And then told the kids not to get us none. Do you feel that's a thing that happens in our community, or am I off base?
It's a lot, it's a lot of things that happen in the community, but a lot of times people pick and choose what they want to run with. So I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the saying, well, all you need to do is be present. That was a thing.
That was a
right.
thing.
Being present, that's basically bare minimum. So when it comes to Father's Day, expect the bare minimum if you run with the just be present idea. You know what I mean?
Just be present.
Yeah.
That's true. That was a stigma for a long time.
Yeah.
I want to do it like this, man. For those that are deaf, dumb, stupid, living under a rock, man, I want you to reintroduce yourself. Tell us where you're from. Like, where you?
Oh, well, I'm originally from Shreveport, Louisiana. I grew up there, and then I moved out to Houston back in 2012. So I've been out there for a while.
You have brothers and sisters?
I got one brother.
One brother. Okay. And I'm just curious, did you grow up in a two-parent household, or just only mother, only father?
My dad was military, so we all lived together up until '93, and then he went his way.
Hear that?
So we already know about how this is going now. Okay. We already know how this is going. Okay. Her father was in the military. He left in '93. So we already know where she's coming from now, where her grift is coming from. She grew up in a single parent home. Daddy wasn't really there. Now he's split, 93. Here we go.
The country. He went out to sea several times. So I was with my mom. He left us out here in Shreveport when we moved from South Carolina. So it's been with me, my mom, and our extended family since then.
Okay, okay. So, I got to shout out, people like Genesis and stuff like that as far as putting me on game to you.
Yeah.
Let me know who you are. I did my research. I did, some surface level. So I didn't go deep as, I could have went. But I said surface level. I said, oh, she's interesting. She's interesting. So I got to ask you off the rip. Before we get started, do you hate men in a general term?
No, I don't hate men. But you know what? Men think it's man hate because they hear women speak about their nature. And when they see the mirror in front of themselves, the reality is they hate what they see in the mirror. So they project it off on me because I ain't saying nothing different than what men say behind closed doors amongst themselves. I mean, I've been in groups with males my whole life. I know how they talk. They just don't like to hear what I'm saying come from a woman. That's it.
Okay. So I got to ask, again, you might have, people might know your journey, but we're learning as we go. Mm-hmm. How experienced are you with men?
It sounds very familiar with Kevin Samuels. Okay, very familiar. Okay, I don't hate men. I'm just telling you their nature. What type of men were you hanging around with? All men are not pigs, just like all women are not whores.
Like how many serious relationships have you been in, if any? How long did they last?
Well, I was married. I got married in 2017. Me and my daughter's father co-parent. Prior to that, maybe I've had 3 or 4 relationships. My first relationship.
So she's divorced too, like Kevin Samuels. Bounce from guy to guy. Yeah.
Was a pretty solid relationship. And that was when my first boyfriend was at 19 years old. So I haven't been around the block in that terms, but to know men is not just about romantic relationships. It's about friendships. It's about working with them. So when I was selling cars, first of all, I've been in the military for 8 years.
There you go. Thank you.
I sold cars for 3.5 years. I played basketball. I played street football. I did the whole 9 yards. So I have a wisdom on men that the average woman don't have. 2 of my friends were pimps.
Oh, man.
So, I grew up a tomboy. So
2 of your friends, your best friends, were pimps. Yeah, you got a very good view of men. All the men you hanged out with, mainly scumbags. And she wants to teach women. Okay.
Most of my friends have been male. I had very few female friends. So I know more about male psychology from being around them and being.
Very few female friends. Most of my friends were men. Yeah. The psychology of men. What type of men are you familiar with, ma'am? Thugs, gangsters, pimps, men who brainwash women that really don't come from good homes, who don't have fathers to protect them and instill in things into them, like how to think for yourself, how to be respectful, how to have pride in yourself. You hung around men who used women, abused women, God forbid, deleted women. Of course, they wouldn't tell you that, but that's the role of a pimp,
Being friends with them than I have with just relationships. I have a 360-degree understanding of men.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it then, man. I want this to be a healthy conversation. I've seen you kind of go back and forth with some people that might want to overtalk you, and I'm like, no, I want you to get your stuff out because I'm interested in the psychology of of this conversation. Some people have called you the female Charleston White, as far as your outspokenness. Mm-hmm. I've even
Charleston White bragged about raping white girls. Let that sink in.
Of course, looking at the content, I said, okay, this is more like a female Kevin Samuels as far as just some of the things some of the things you lead with. Would you say that's partially true for either one of those names?
Actually, yes, because here's the thing. Truth is all encompassing, right? And I don't pick and choose. So when you hear certain things, what you're hearing, because Kevin Samuels didn't straight up tell no lies, and Charleston White don't either. So the thing is, you're hearing half truths come from the male perspective. When a woman is telling the whole truth, you're kind of going to hear some of the male perspective coming in, but you're going to now add the woman's perspective. So yeah, you're going to
get a load of her woman's perspective. I'm telling you, you're going to shake your head. You're going to shake your head.
You're going to hear some Kevin Samuels in me. You're going to hear some Charleston White in me. You're going to hear a bunch of males in me because I'm actually out here telling the truth.
Okay, let's get to it. All right. Well, let's get some backstory. First and foremost, I'm curious. Are you religious at all? And if so, do you believe in the Adam and Eve storyline as far as man, woman, how that came about?
No, I'm not religious. I grew up Baptist, and then I got out of it around 19 years old because I read the Bible for myself, and I realized it's some BS, right?
Yep. We all know where this is going right now. We all know where this is going right now. Let's keep going.
And
a few discrepancies.
Yeah. But then when you get into the Adam and Eve story, that's also BS too, because
yeah, well, come on. What makes that BS? If
what makes that BS is this idea that the nature of the woman was deceptive, right? And that she went against God's plan or whatever. That whole thing is a farce, right? And so because the Adam and Eve story is put out from the male point of view, what people forget is that Eve was cursed to be under a man. That wasn't the natural part of it. So this whole thing, the way that they push it is that the woman's natural place is to be under a man and supporting him and being his helpmeet, when they're not understanding that God, quote unquote, cursed Eve, which is total BS also. But
no, that's the facts. If you're going by the Bible, and God cursed man for also eating the fruit. He's not guiltless. All right. I don't see it as the problem. I mean, Eve is cursed to be under a man and have pain during labor. Man is cursed to work the field until he dies. And at times there will be conflict between man and woman in relationships. Okay. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you're trying to go by the book, right? The Bible, right? You already could tell that she's going to be causing a divide. All right. Just like it was with Kevin Samuels. Many will get mad at me and say, well, you don't know Kevin Samuels. I've listened to enough of his videos. Okay. I've listened to the fact when he said some good things, and I listened to the fact when he said some terrible things. Like, if you have a high value man and he cheats, stay with him. Stay with him. But I bet you if a woman is pretty, beautiful, is submissive, but she cheats now and then, he wouldn't tell you to submit to that. He wouldn't tell you to be there for that woman. Okay? Kevin Samuels was to cater to a group of men that really didn't want any self-accountability for themselves. Of course, he told men that they had to improve in order to get the woman that they want. But after they get the woman, will they treat that woman right? Or will they be... You see, it's going to be the same thing with this woman right here. I'm going to keep playing this. You're going to see.
That's the narrative that is more accurate to describe today where women are.
So the curse, quote unquote.
Yes.
What would you say the curse is? Like,
to be under men.
Just to be under.
To be under men and subjugated to them.
So,
that's the curse.
Okay, let's start with this as far as they always say what comes first, the chicken or the egg. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that man came first?
No.
Here we go. Yep, man didn't come first. But once again, she will call herself a pastor. and say that women come first. It has to be one or the other. All right. Last time, if you read that book, that if that's what she quotes, that you know the woman comes from man's rib. Woman is the counterpart of man. Okay. And if she was, she would talk about how it's actually a good thing to be under a man who is, you know, godly and will treat her right. I mean, she said she is a pastor, right?
Do you believe that woman came first?
Yeah.
And then gave birth to a man?
And, I mean, that's
Here we go. Here, I knew it. I knew it's going to come with that. And I bet you she's part of the Rainbow Mafia.
evident in all of nature, right? The sperm.
Before Cameron was even born.
Hold on one second.
Anything without the egg. And when you look into nature, the fact of the matter is the Y chromosome is a degenerate X, right? It's a degenerate X. Man comes from woman, right?
Ma'am, without the sperm, you don't have a baby. Without the egg, you don't have a baby. It takes two. When man and woman get together, they fit like a glove. All right? And reproduce. You can say nature, or nature will say that. Okay? No sperm, no baby. No egg, no baby. I'm telling you, man, a lot of these people who are coming up here and filling the gap for Kevin Samuels, just as toxic or even more toxic than him. And this one right here is extremely more toxic. She's definitely leading women to be on the alphabet team. Definitely with this nonsense. And she will, just like Kevin, I told you what type of men, especially black men, that Kevin Samuels caters to. She caters to black women and women, period, who have been hurt, who refuse accountability for making choices and choosing the men in their lives to let slide up in them and to get them pregnant and to have children. Instead of owning it, okay, I've done this. Let me be better. Or let me make better choices from now on. That's a real coach. That's a real person that actually cares about you. That, okay, you've made this decision. Now let's move on from that. What is this on her lips? What is this on her lips? What is that? See a bunch of bumps on her lips. What is that? Let's keep going.
Nobody wants to agree to that because the male's ego is at stake. So of course he wants to believe that the Y chromosome came first, but there.
Ma'am, it's not about ego. It's about facts. That's biology, ma'am. Let's keep going.
There's no traces of Y in woman, but there's a trace of an X in man. I mean, that's just as basic as it can get.
So you're saying all men technically, just scientific in nature.
Yeah.
So notice that she's uplifting women into basically godhood and crapping on men. Okay? And she says she knows about men. You know about men who probably grew up in a destitute situations. You know about men who abuse women to survive. You know about men who probably did things to women in order to make a name for themselves. And with that, you think you know men. You do not know all men.
This firstborn women and they're changed to men or boys, whatever, versus boys changing to women based on the X and Y chromosome.
The determining factor that makes you male is the SRY gene. Without if there was a mutation on the SRY, do you know that you would be a female with the XY? If there was a issue with your SRY gene? Oh. Yeah, that's the only thing that determines your maleness. Everything else comes from the female.
We're going to be jumping all over the place because I just, one question might open up another and we're going to be all over the place. So I'm curious, your thoughts when it does.
I got a question. If she says the Y gene is defective, is she saying her father is defective? I wonder what she said. Would she say her brother is defective? It's a defective gene. Are you okay with saying that your father, your brother, your uncles, your friends are all defective because they are males because of that Y gene?
does say a man who says, man, I was born a woman. And, unfortunately, I have the body parts of a man, but I was born a woman, and vice versa. Women who are still, they're born men. Do you feel like that's something they're born, or is that a trait that is learned or comes over time?
Well, we can never eradicate the power of social engineering and programming, because by 24 weeks, a child is able to pick up the voices and language patterns of the parent, right? So the child is already being programmed before they even come out of the womb, right? So in this society where we're going, it's jacked up, right? It's real jacked up. And then with estrogen being put in all of the different foods in the water, a lot of things are going on. So yes, a person can be born with some issues dealing with their body and who they believe that they are. But all of that is rooted in a bunch of lies that they assimilate to when they get out into this world.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So now back to what you were saying as far as, the curse of a woman coming under a man. Do you feel it is the other way around, to where a man comes under a woman? And this is just based on nature, that the woman is technically, I don't want to say superior, but is the frontal being, and then the man comes under that.
That's the true pattern. That's the true.
You see, like I said, this woman is crazy. This woman, a lot of these women, like Cynthia G, Divested Witch, a lot of these women are nuts. And they are just doing this for a grift. They don't care if they're hurting, warping a woman's mind who's been damaged by poor choices in men. They don't care if they're damaging a woman who's already been damaged by abuse in their family that they have suffered. They're going to look to these women, especially because I have to take accountability. I don't have to respect men. I don't have to get therapy and forgive, the people who have, just, it's not and when I say this, I mean this with all sincerity. Forgiveness is not about, them. It's about you being free and not being crazy and giving these people free rent in your head to live in. Okay? It's about setting yourself free. All right? And these coaches don't do that. They don't care about you. They want you completely under their influence, and you keep donating to them, and you keep listening to their toxic teachings, which makes no sense as what I'm hearing right here.
Way. The fact of the matter is, if everything was in its natural order, women would have the power to reject the majority of males. The majority of males pursue women. That's the natural.
Women do have the power to reject men, especially in Western countries. All right. I don't know about third world countries, but in first world countries, they sure do have the power to reject men and their respect. And if a man tries to cross the line, he is punished to the full extent of the law.
Order. And he doesn't get to choose who he gets to pass his genes through. The female gets to choose without law and law enforcement telling her she has to not deny a male sex and all of this stuff.
The reality is, so she's admitting the fact that women have responsibility for their body. So if they get with a Pookie or Ray Ray or a bottom shelf Brad, they have to bear that responsibility. They can't be saying, like when I said on Father's Day, that women don't be mad at these fathers that you chose these men, you slept with these men, you let them impregnate you. You have to honor these men, because without these fathers, you wouldn't have children. You wouldn't have Mother's Day. And they got very testy about that. And I said, ma'am, this is due to the fact that you chose these men. All right. But I do say also that it takes two to agree. Like I said before, it takes two to agree to go to the bedroom and have sex. And that includes unprotected sex.
Male comes under her. If you don't allow the male to be governed by the woman and you put him on top, you have chaos and corruption.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm curious.
You mean the corruption that your pimp friends did to other women when you saw your pimp friends abuse women and put them out on the whole stroll and had them, doing things in order to get money? not caring if the cat caught a permanent STD. Hmm? Like I said, she said everything. She said everything. Your father left you in 1993. You and your brothers, your best friends were pimps. You were a tomboy hanging out with the wrong type of men most of your life. And you saw that and you thought, that's chaos, what they were doing. Oh man, this is chaos. Patriarchy is chaos. Never mind the fact that you saw a type of man. Never mind that you never questioned the environment you lived in, whether it was good or not.
Do you feel, and we're just hypotheticals, correct?
Yeah.
A world with no men, all women, versus a world with all men, no women.
Okay.
Who do you feel?
A world with all men would die out. A world with all women would die out. You put a group of men on an island separate from women and women on a group of islands separate from men, they'll die out. What is going on here?
Progresses faster and survives longer in that scenario.
The female.
Oh, yeah. Oh, whoa. All right, let me. I remember seeing a Survivor series, okay, and women were left on an island to take care of themselves. They fell apart, but I'm gonna give her the chance to speak.
Female will always survive, right? Because feminine energy is an everlasting energy. Masculine energy is a temporary energy that you call. So let's look at motivation. Motivation typically comes from anger, which is all masculine. That don't last long, right? Once you're not angry anymore, your motivation kind of dissipates. So you have to keep finding external things to keep making you mad in order to push you. Inspiration is a feminine concept which lasts longer, right? So femininity.
What is this Hotep nonsense dumpster fire teaching is she spreading here? Inspiration, you use inspiration to create music. You use inspiration to build buildings. You use inspiration to draw up blueprints. You use inspiration to, to create things. Okay. And it doesn't matter the gender you're in. Females have used inspiration to create things. Men have used. Let's keep going.
Is a longer lasting, less chaotic energy. If you put males all in one environment without women, what you're going to find out is what happens in jail. They're going to be raw dogging each other. They're going to be fighting each other, breaking off into gangs. That's how males operate.
Women left together won't be bullying or having other women as sex slaves. They won't be forming cliques. I'm sorry. That's the same thing that happens with women. What the hell are you talking about? I don't know if she's ever seen, watch documentaries on prison life, whether it be male or female, and you see how things get down. It's pretty ugly.
You put females, they're not gonna do much of anything, any harm, but you're not gonna have such, what we have here is a matrix where you now have to worry about fighting against AI in your life. You wouldn't have that. So there's a happy medium with masculine energy and progression and being able to be controlled with feminine energy.
When is she ever going to talk about those female rainbow relationships and how they have a high domestic violence rate? When is she going to talk about that?
So it's a deep conversation, right? It goes very deep. So what I'm saying is the amount of men that you have is too great. I'm not saying no men, but if you breeding dogs, how many male dogs do you put in a litter with females? You ain't putting 5 male dogs with 5 females. That ain't how you do it. The amount of male to female ratio is supposed to be a lot lower than what it is. But the problem is you got everybody being able to procreate. And how did that happen? Through patriarchy, stripping women's rights away and saying one man to every woman, giving every male a woman that they wouldn't have under natural circumstances.
Would you say there's a lot of...
Like I said, this woman is basically about breaking up natural order of things. That's what it is. She wants men to be three. She wants women to be 304. She's not saying it. It's basically there. Kevin Samuels was saying, men, be high value, you know, be in acceptance of other men. And when you're in acceptance of other men, also, you have the right to cheat on your significant other or wife, and she has to put up with it. That's basically she's doing it's feminism, 304 culture. The right to fight to be a 304, but still be thought of as a queen. That is nuts. It's the same thing with Kevin Samuels. I'm a high value man, and I have the right to be a whoremonger. Insanity.
Masculine females nowadays, though?
Of course. But we have to know what masculine
Hot Jar takes
Second.
is, and we have to know what we're talking about. What we're talking about is women are operating like men or like the male, but how? Through patriarchal programming. Everything that we live in, this entire system, is run by men's and men's philosophies. If we understand,
It is those men's philosophies. It is those men that are keeping you alive. It is those men who built homes for you, everything from the toilet, everything from, cars, security systems, security cameras, everything from airplanes to take you in travel, transportation, everything to make sure you're able to call 911 right away. All right. A lot of these feminists and these pseudo gurus really are delusional and don't understand the natural order of things. Us men are called to protect and to provide and to help you. Okay? And this woman says, oh, well, now everybody got their own beliefs, all right? But here's what I have understood. Societies with Judeo-Christian influence are the safest societies to be around. I'll say it again. Societies with Judeo-Christian influence are the societies the safest to be around. That's what I have realized. Go anywhere else, you don't have the rights you have for what she's saying. She couldn't say this stuff in Iran. She couldn't say this stuff in Afghanistan. The nonsense she's spewing right now is ridiculous. And she should be thanking the fact of the influence here to be able to say and what you want, to express your ideas, no matter how nonsensical it is.
philosophy
In this country.
and how psychology is programmed, you understand that your behavioral patterns are based on your philosophies that you hold. Well, all of the philosophies that we live under in the patriarchal system are all male dominated. Capitalism comes from male nature. Consumerism comes from male.
And you love capitalism. Don't come with me with that. You love capitalism. I love capitalism. All right? I love being able to make money freely without the government trying to put its foot on my neck. All right? A lot of these people are hypocrites and want to be, males made capitalism. They created all that stuff. And you're benefiting from it. You're benefiting with that necklace. You benefited from serving in a male-dominated sector, which is the military. She's a walking contradiction.
Male nature. This whole patriarchal hierarchy is male nature. So everybody, including women, are operating like males.
No, they're not. No, they're not acting. Females. A lot of times these females who really act like males, they've been through something. Okay? Or it's just have a general disposition to hate men for some reason. Okay? And it leads to delusion. All right? Some sort of abuse, something like that. Once again, without the male system, you couldn't be protected to go walk up and down the street. To have protection when you need help.
Women are not acting like women. And it is not because they don't, that they're doing it on their own. It's because of the program that has gotten them into competition mode, because competition is a male thing. That comes from male nature. That's not the nature of a woman. But how did women begin to compete? Well, what did they do? They took women's rights to provide for themselves and made them compete for males who hoarded the artificial resources, because nature provides all of the resources. But currency is a byproduct of nature's resources that were hoarded by men. Black men didn't create the system. No. White men did. But black males acquiesced to it just like everybody else. So everybody is out, every man for himself. Every man for himself, that's male nature, because y'all were designed to compete against each other to pass your genes along. Y'all are not communal. Yeah. But
so, all right, so let's stop right there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to preface it with a question. Do you feel that men have the urge to breed more so than women have the urge to birth?
The things she's saying right now, competition only comes from men. Right. Okay. You don't have women track stars. You don't have women business owners. And you guys celebrate that crap. You know, independent women, hot girl summer, city girls. Okay. The truth is, the government wanted women into the workforce so they could tax more of that demographic. All right. That's why. I don't see a problem with women working, but I do see a problem with this nonsense being spewed. You're talking about something downing a system that you actually benefit from. This system gives you welfare. God forbid you become a single mother. Multiple times, there's always a safety blanket for you. A man decides to become a serial baby daddy, he goes to prison or he's on the run and looked upon as a pariah, depending if he has resources or if he's like a future Nick Cannon or any of these other rock stars out there.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, I think it was in Genesis where they're like, if we're going biblical, they're like, here, God created man and let him be fruitful. So therefore, we were put on this earth to technically multiply. Technically, would you say?
No.
Oh.
That's Abrahamic religions are patriarchal religions, which are anti-natural. So the whole system.
The hell are you talking about? Under patriarchal religions, women and children are cared for and protected. What are you talking about? That is nature. Any society, especially in the third world, where patriarchal is heavily emphasized, that you have to be able to prove yourself to take care of a family. What are you talking about? Women in patriarchal society, especially in the Africa, the Sudan, they look for men that can protect them and actually can provide. What are you talking about? It's not natural. What the hell wrong with you?
System of patriarchy was set up for the elites to take control of the planet. In order to take control of the planet, they
the elites don't give a damn about patriarchy. The elites are trying to destroy patriarchy. She doesn't look into Klaus Schwab or the World Economic Forum to see what's going on with that, what they're trying to do right now, especially what the WHO is trying to do when it comes to corrupting kids.
Needed to use the male body to do it. The male has no value outside of his physical strength. So what they did was they bred you like dogs, like horses. That's what they did. And then they made you go die in their wars, right? They put you in a draft and they used y'all's bodies to fight for them to control everything. Now, we can deny that, but it's right in front of everybody's face. And then after you got out of the war, what did they give you? They didn't give you anything, especially if you was a black man. They didn't give you nothing, right? You couldn't even get the GI Bill, but they used your body, right? Right? So of course they wanted to breed men, right? Use women as baby making machines and breed males under a patriarchal system and programmed everybody to believe that man was God. So now.
Okay. But you are a person who said you claim to read the Bible. You know that's a lie. Okay. So this woman is very unintelligent here. Very unintelligent. Very disingenuous. Very dishonest. And just making up crap as she goes along. Yes, the elite use lies and propaganda to force men into war. Okay. And they put women to work in factories. Okay. Which exposed them to a lot of dangerous chemicals, and which cost them their lives a lot of the time. All right. Okay, but you're trying to say that the elites care about patriarchy? No, they didn't. They did. They wouldn't be sending off sons and fathers to war, and husbands to war, fake wars, to line the pockets of bureaucrats and politicians that are crooked.
Now you say this is our purpose and you have to do this. So they got the woman physiologically and psychologically and through law and law enforcement to create the problems that we have in the world right now. Now you can't tell men that, because patriarchy makes men feel needed, valued, and wanted, even though it's the very system that causes all of the males' problems today.
No, what the hell is wrong with you? Patriarchy is about conserving, to save, to preserve, okay, to protect. Again, you're going against. If men just said, you know, we're all going to give up on patriarchy, women and children are in trouble, big trouble. There's no more welfare system. There's no more WIC. All right. You guys would be trouble, especially black single mothers. You guys are dead in the water. The nonsense being spewed is unbelievable. The unmeditated gall.
Now, growing up, you know, and this is just my observation, probably a lot of guys here, most women kind of control the way men move. Like if you're young and like a girl sees something like, let's say, quote unquote, a thug or a bad kid, and she's like, oh, I like bad guys, you know what I'm saying? And a guy says, oh, I like this girl, but she likes the bad guy. I'm trying to play within the rules, but she likes a guy who plays outside the rules. So that guy who's technically good may start playing outside the rules just for the love or lust of a woman. Mm-hmm. So, and I see, like, when it comes to fashion, when it comes to dressing and hygiene, you know, men only probably would of course take care of themselves, but they do it for women. It's like, hey, I'm trying to pursue this girl. I'm trying to smell good. I'm trying to do this. But so y'all are kind of driving force. Now, and this again, it's just me speaking. If you guys are a driving force, and of course, you know, we do a lot of things on y'all, and you, of course, you speak on patriarchy. Do you feel like in this society where survival of the fittest, we are surviving technically to, like you said, to breed, to make sure we have children, we lay our seed, we move on, move forward. But wouldn't you say that's technically the way human nature should be as far as men should pursue?
Now, here's the thing, all right? As men, we can't be going for a toxic woman. She looks good and stuff. And, you know, we have to teach our sons not to go after women who like to twerk, who like to talk like they're men, like sailors. And no, don't go for that woman. That woman grew up in a broken home. That's what she wants to do. Fine. You go over there. She wants to be trash. Fine. But you find somebody else that is more towards your liking, who will treat you right, who understands the natural order of things, that understands gender roles, and is not going to act like from the ghetto. You don't want that. If you raise your kid, you know, to be respectful and have some self-respect, you don't want them with somebody who hasn't grown up with that. You don't want somebody who comes from a broken home. No disrespect for someone who comes from a broken home, but a person from a broken home needs to be with somebody else who's also from a broken home. Okay? Because they're not gonna mesh well. It's unequally yoked. Just common sense. And water will seek its own level, and she will probably end up cheating on him because of the fact that she will have to change her ways to be with that man. And she knows it. And deep down, that's not what she wants. Okay, she wants to be true to herself. Fine, let her find somebody else, and give her that decision to be true to herself, and you can be true to yourself, and let you guys part your own ways and find people who are compatible with you.
Two women. Women should then breed and therefore keep our genealogy going, or keep our family existence going. Big families. My kids are here versus having just no kids or only one child. A man should want to have 9, 10 kids.
Well, see, here's the thing. Male brains are different from female brains. And because of this difference, you all see life differently and you have different purposes. The female purpose is not the male purpose. You all are hardwired to try to survive. Y'all are trapped in survival of the fittest. The female is not.
Females aren't trapped in the fact that they have to find the best quality man to breed with that will actually protect them. You don't see that sometimes in high school and middle school. They will be with the man that is more kind of attractive, more kind of can protect her. Or even you may see that sometimes with women who are in the hood or who are a little bit wiser and then saying, I want to be with a man who makes money. I want to be with a man that can protect me. That's smart. That is survival mode. What are you talking about, man? She doesn't know what she's talking about.
By nature. She don't have to do all that to pass her genes along. And y'all are not doing things for women. Y'all are doing things because of women. Y'all are programmed, and a lot of males hate the fact that women have so much sexual power over y'all. The thing is, the average woman don't know to the extent that she's powerful. She don't know because patriarchy to get. And because of this difference, you all see life differently and you have different purposes. The female purpose is not the male purpose. You all are hardwired to try to survive. Y'all are trapped in survival of the fittest. The female is not by nature. She don't have to do all that to pass her genes along. And y'all are not doing things for women. Y'all are doing things because of women. Y'all are programmed, and a lot of males hate the fact that women have so much sexual power over y'all. The thing is, the average woman don't know to the extent that she's powerful. She don't know because patriarchy has conditioned her to give up her power to men. So she don't know how much influence she has. Y'all know, they don't. And so women can't, quote unquote, choose properly because of so many other things. Now, it's important for people to understand the biological importance of everything because all of this starts with the biology. The first thing is humans, all life, it doesn't matter whether it's a protozoa, it doesn't matter if it's a rat, dog, everything. One of the characteristics of determining if something is a living organism or not is if it responds to environmental stimuli. All right. So, and this has something to do with the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. It's an automatic response that's unconscious to the organism in the certain environment. So what patriarchy has done is created different environments going up like that.
Yep.
So people in the lower echelon are responding to environmental stimuli differently than up because the environments are different. And then when you keep women out of the knowledge of themselves and men, see, you've got a bunch of books on pimping, right? Pimping Ken, you got Iceberg Slim. They know the nature of a woman.
Those men know how the nature of a woman who has not grown up with a father. Those men know how to take advantage of disadvantaged women. Pimps, people who destroy the black community. Those are the people that she has knowledge about. Those are the people she relies on how to teach women. I'm sorry, man, but people get mad when you got people like Kid Organic, Don Mega, or myself, or many other content creators who call out this nonsense. You're looking to pimps to actually teach about male and female dynamics. People who capitalize on the disadvantage of individuals, especially females, in order to get cash from them, who break them down in order to get them to prostitute themselves to get money and advertise that to up girls, to young females coming up. So the process to the cycle of dysfunction keeps on going. Yeah, this is really a Rhodes Scholar right here.
Because they've been studying women. Women don't know the nature of a man. They have no clue, right? So you have people in the know, in a messed up environment, and people who are totally blind, making decisions on ignorance. But y'all put the responsibility on them and their ignorance, but y'all know the power that they have. And men don't want women to know the truth, right? And that's where I come into play.
Oh, okay. Queen maker.
Yeah.
So you mentioned pimps.
Yeah.
More like the rainbow maker. That's all I'm saying here. The rainbow maker.
What do you feel is about pimps that they learned of a woman? You know what I'm saying? Is it because sometimes it's without any physical, interaction. Sometimes it's just basically telling them something. It's psychological.
Yeah.
What do you see about pimps what they do that works on women, that preys on women? Like what is it about them that works?
It's a bunch of game. It's a bunch of game and understanding that most of the things, the people that you target are in need, right? When you target somebody and find their weaknesses, right? And you use those weaknesses to your advantage, here's the thing, a wolf in sheep's clothing knows what clothing to wear, right?
Aren't you doing the same thing? Coming at using women who are in need, who are damaged, who are destitute, who are single mothers, who have boy children, and you're going to poison their minds through poisoning their mothers.
Right? And they study that person. And a lot of women don't understand that this manosphere, like the red pill, that ain't nothing but watered down pimp game. That's all that is. But they
Right. But you're doing the same thing. And it's your watered down rainbow game.
don't know no better because they ain't study pimping, right? They ain't study none of this. They too busy putting on makeup. They too busy watching Housewives of Atlanta. They don't even understand the driving nature of a male to even pursue them. And they don't even know to the extent that a male will jump through hoops and doing all kind of others just to run a temporary game on her just to get what they don't have a clue. Right.
All right.
You're giving me a lot of madam energy.
Madam. Hey, look, one of my pimp friends told me, say, Priscilla, why don't you just be a madam? That ain't my thing. Yeah.
What would you say about they say a woman can't control her emotions? Mm-hmm. Do you believe that's true?
Yes and no. Okay, because you've heard the saying mind over matter, right?
Yep.
So that means if you tap into the mind space, you have the ability to control the body, but you got to be able to tap into the mind space. The problem is women don't have the knowledge to even tap into the mind space to control their emotions. They have no earthly idea that the emotions that they feel actually come from seminal fluid. They don't understand how strong seminal fluid is and how it physiologically changes their body and their mentality.
What is that you said? Seminal fluid. Explain that.
Seminal fluid, okay, so you have two parts of ejaculation. You got the semen and then you got the sperm. The sperm is what fertilizes the egg. And that's only like 5% of seminal fluid. The other semen, this is a whole chemical concoction that actually comes from the male's brain down his spine. And this actually alters women's physiology, right? And it brings down their DNA defenses, right? Which makes them more emotional. And it also triggers, every time a male has sex with a woman, it triggers that oxytocin to come out. By women not understanding the nature and the biology of a man, if they understood that and tapped into the mind space, they could control more of how they respond to men. But because they don't know that, they are totally subjected to the physiological changes that happen when they come in contact with seminal fluid.
So if a man has intercourse with a woman, he's breaking down her barriers.
Yes.
But that's technically the natural order of things.
No, it's not the natural order thing.
This woman's crazy. I'm telling you, she's downing men. Look, she's downing men. She's downing us to our basic core. She's trying to say having sex with men is evil. She's just saying it in a roundabout way.
Thing.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not.
Oh.
It's not, right?
The reality is, if you look at biology and science, you're going to understand that sex is actually meant for marriage. Okay? Oxytocin, woman being emotional after sex, because there's a bond there. There's a bond that was made. That's why. Because you've gotten to her most sacred and deep place, which is her body. Okay? And unfortunately, you do have men that will manipulate women by doing that. Derek Jackson, for example. Okay? He has done it a lot. Okay? But all in all, it is a good thing if it's put in its proper parameters. That's the issue here. And a lot of these people are taking advantage of these women. Male and female content creators are doing this, especially this one right here.
This is something that the woman would have to allow under natural circumstances. Remove patriarchy, remove all of the laws, law enforcement, remove propaganda, remove all of the music and everything. Under natural circumstances, the majority of women would reject the majority of males, and the majority of males would have money, status, or fame, or any of that. And so now you would be totally dependent upon your genetic viability, and the majority of males would not make it. And if you bring this up to a higher level humanistic way of thinking, even if you looked at the top male, right, that male would get the privilege of being around the majority of women, and the weak male who couldn't elevate, who couldn't show that he was mentally powerful, disciplined, he would fail. He wouldn't make it, right? And that's just the reality of it. And what's happening right now is that the population is overloaded. The grid is overloaded. And a lot of males who were supported by patriarchy when they gave men women are getting their rights now. And the artificial mechanisms are falling. And a lot of these dudes who were given things ain't giving it no more. And they can't function in a competitive environment. They don't know how to do it, and they're upset. They're mad because they feel entitled to jobs. They feel entitled to promotion. They feel entitled to sex. They feel entitled to family. But women
feel entitled to protection. Women feel entitled to. This woman is going off feminism. Feminism says, I'm entitled to a man, no matter how nasty and ugly I may be to him. I'm entitled to that. I'm entitled to the top percent of men, even though I do not fit the criteria. I'm entitled because I have a uterus, because I believe certain things. No better than the simps who listen to Kevin Samuels. Granted, there are men that actually take his teachings, the ones that, take about getting yourself together and stuff, and don't go into the toxic parts of Kevin Samuels because they probably haven't listened to most of his podcasts. But that is far and few in between. All right. But this woman is really just talking a lot of mess right now.
Ain't supposed to be given nothing. The male's ultimate nature and job is survival of the fittest. He either survives or he dies. Too many people are trying to protect the male from his ultimate nature. Sink or swim.
What about the woman that just wants to have sex?
Well, listen, I tell them like this. My message ain't for concubines and slaves. Everybody, some people got to be slaves. Some people got to be concubines. And some of these women do need to service them. But We have to always understand that everybody is operating outside of a true natural way. We're all responding to this artificial environment. Everybody is.
That is facts. What do you feel if, let's say, sex wasn't recreational? Mm-hmm. If it wasn't like where you could just do it and get your rocks off and go from there, like basically it wasn't pleasurable.
Right.
It was more so, hey, we're gonna do this. You gotta have a baby, or we're only doing this to make children. Do you feel like we'll all be operating on better frequencies if it wasn't so pleasurable just to have meaningless sex?
Well, for women, it's not quote unquote just pleasurable. A lot of women have sex even when they don't want to have sex, but it's pleasurable for men. So
this woman is stupid. She's so stupid. There are women who have sex. Okay, when they don't want to have sex, maybe they are prostitutes. Maybe they just have that night where they, let me give my husband some. I was listening to a couple, okay, married couple, and they know what they said? They have sex with each other even when they don't feel like it. And you know what happened? That marriage lasted because they knew to deny each other, put themselves last, and put the relationship first. That is what's not talked about in these dating manosphere, red pill, or feminist, or whatever circles, because that's not popular. We live in a selfish generation. No other way around it.
I can't see it being any other way. I can't see it being another way because for y'all,
and especially in the Black community, what's pumped is the fact of feminism. What's pumped is like, I can do bad all by myself, with the males, have a lot of sex, get money by any means necessary, have a lady, a main lady, and a side chick on the slide, or many side chicks. How do you expect to have a stable family with that type of mentality? Okay, there's a reason why Blacks, when they get an amount of money, they move out of the hood and go to the suburbs, because they want to escape that toxicity and escape this pseudo fake knowledge that's really not helping anybody. It's just self-serving and will lead to being part of the rainbow gang.
Y'all, it literally triggers the reward system in y'all's brain. Like y'all's brains fire up and it makes you want to do it more and more, right? That's not the way it happens with women. You know what I mean?
Do you believe every man is like that?
99% of them. Yep.
This woman is a clown. Women don't chase after sex too. Hot girl summer. I need a thug. Okay. Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, WAP. Whew. People gonna grift. People gonna grift.
Wait, how many women do you feel don't enjoy sex? Like you make it seem like it's a task.
Well, it is. I mean, look at the divorce rates. I mean, listen.
Well, no, divorce is normally for money.
No.
It's not. Why'd you get married if sex wasn't a part of?
No. Trust. See, that's the problem. Men do not listen to women. Y'all don't. Women be talking and talking and talking, and all over the globe, you hear this like sex is a chore. Sex is a chore. You even had this dude. You remember when
So stop. Don't get married. Sex is a chore. Be by yourself. Why hook up with a man just for his money? Be by your damn self and have all the sex who you want to have sex with. And that's that. What she's not saying is a lot of these women are damaged. And if sex is too much because of trauma, don't get married. Please don't get married. Don't do it. Don't be with a guy. Just be by yourself. Oh, it's a chore. Oh, why the hell did you get married? Why the hell do you have a man?
a spreadsheet came out, when he made that spreadsheet for every time his wife denied him sex, because he kept asking and asking.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
This is typical in marriages. I mean, that's typical. And women keep saying that because it's not as pleasurable for them as it is for y'all. Look.
Wait, so would you say is communication is the problem then?
No,
because
it's No.
Because a woman will say this. A woman will say this. There's steps to get me to want to have sex. There's certain things you have to do to kind of. I'm an oven. You're a microwave. You have to preheat me, and then I'm ready. Men are microwaves. They just turn on and let's go. It may not be the time you want to go, but again, there is a process for women to actually enjoy it.
Yeah, and
it's
men
just men
are
don't have
selfish.
time to wait. Yeah,
see, men are selfish, and so
Women are not selfish either. Like I said, she cannot. This is why I don't do narratives, because narratives is usually does not tell the whole truth. Tell the whole truth. You have women who are selfish and men who are selfish. Men who just want to get it on, and you have women who, just don't want to give it up at all. Tell the whole truth. Isn't that what you said? Tell the whole truth. You have, just like this man said, you have men that just want to rush and just bang, 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 bang. And you have women who want to be taking it slow. You got to tell her sweet things, rub her feet after a hard day of work, massage her back, talk about how your day was. How was her day? Have a conversation. Maybe go out to eat, go on a date. Something like that. Okay, she's not helping. She just, it's sad to say there is money in drama and beef and dysfunction. The more people are at each other's throat, the more money comes into your Cash App.
So y'all just want to get your penis wet and
especially in the Black community.
Then go to sleep. Then you want her to make you a sandwich after not caring about heating up the microwave, right?
That sounds pretty good. That sounds good.
I know it sounds good. I know it sounds good. You a male, man.
That sounds pretty nice. That sounds pretty nice.
So here's the thing. Women keep saying this, but here's the thing. There is an inverse relationship between men and women. Men and women aren't compatible. Just because y'all genitalia fit, that don't make y'all compatible. Galileo said you cannot teach a man anything. You can only help him find it within himself. Everybody know who Galileo is, right? Mark Twain said it takes much to convince the average man of anything, and probably nothing will ever make him realize that he's the average woman's inferior. Y'all have something in y'all's brain that prevents y'all from listening. Y'all take commands. This is why the military handle y'all the way they handle you. You go do this, do that. That's how y'all operate. Y'all don't listen. So even with women talking and telling you, it still don't register.
But that's not every man. That's just, I feel like that's not every man. That's just most of the, that's just like
you give a high percentage
of man, but not every man is built like
well,
that.
I never said 100% of anything.
You said 90% of the men are that way. Like I said, she's protecting her demographic of angry, bitter, hurt, selfish, narcissistic women.
You know, if you into math, you know, you have this thing called the standard deviation curve, right? Yeah. Standard deviation curve is basically a distribution, standard distribution of a sample population. So in the middle of this bell curve, you have 68.2% of the population that is average, okay, the median. That's the majority of people. So if you take 68.2 of the majority of the people and then you go backwards, baby, it's 80-something% of just a standard population that's average and below. The average male is average and below. All of y'all got testosterone, every last one of you. And testosterone has an effect on y'all's brains. The majority of y'all are the same. And all of y'all do the same thing, every last one of you. Well, that ain't all of them. That's just the men you know. I ain't like that. All of y'all think like that. So who the hell is the bad people? Because I'm going to get the same answer from all y'all.
Second. Boy, it's exhausting doing this shit, man. It's exhausting.
Okay. All right. I'm feeling what you're saying, but I do the same thing to a female the same way that you're doing to a man, right? So give me a solution. What is a solution for a woman? If she's in that situation and she doesn't want to have sex, but the man keeps making her have sex, but she continues to do it, she continues to make him the sandwich after he knocks her down. What's the solution?
Okay. No action comes without a preceding emotion, right? You can only do what you know. People do what they know, okay? The problem is women don't know better. Y'all even heard this before yourself. A man will only do what you allow him to do.
I've heard that.
All right. So if women allow men, which means she submit, all right, and allow him to lead, she don't have no control over what he's going to do. She's steady submitting to him. Women have to change their minds and realize that they ain't supposed to submit to men because men just going to do what you allow them to do, because they don't have no governor on their own behavior to know when to not do something, to know better. They don't know. They just going to keep being reckless. And they're not going to take care of your feelings because they're only concerned about theirs. So the solution is to change women's mind and stop looking at men as leaders and take her natural position as leader and govern males' behavior.
Oh wow, this is what it was all along. I told you. This woman's crazy. This woman wants women to be these rainbow Nazis. That's it. What is she saying that black women have been trying to do in the black community, or are doing in the urban black community for decades now, and having people like Oprah leading the charge and many feminists, okay, and Gloria Steinem poisoning black women with her garbage.
He ain't gonna govern himself.
Okay, all right, let's do it like this then. Let's do it like this. So you're speaking of being, of course, the dominant and the submissive. Well, you're saying in a relationship, let's just say outside of patriarchy, just in a relationship, just a man and a woman trying to do this thing the right way. A woman should be the dominant and a man should be the submissive. That's what you're
because y'all follow commands. You go do. And she gonna tell you what to do, because here's the thing. If y'all don't have somebody telling y'all what to do, y'all are going to be reckless. And so women are divorcing y'all in these relationships because they are allowing you to quote unquote lead, and they're being submissive. And since y'all can't lead yourself, y'all leading her into the ground. So here's the thing. The natural order is for the feminine to be the leader. If you give to...
This is Oprah on steroids. She's taking off where Oprah left off. That's what she's doing. People tell me, well, Oprah's changed. No, she hasn't. She just has to find a new grift. She just wants she wants another demographic, and that's men. And unfortunately, many black men are too weak-minded to see the game. Many black African men are too weak-minded to see the game that Oprah's pulling, and too weak-minded to see the game that she's pulling and say, she's right. She's telling the truth. Yeah, man, she's telling the truth. Women should lead. Hell, man, the hell.
To the feminine, right? The feminine is always going to regenerate life, and everybody's going to be taken care of. Y'all are territorial. Y'all just want the image of leadership. You just want to be out in public. I'm the leader, but all of the responsibility is actually on the woman. The leader takes the majority of the responsibility. Now, I think I'm qualified to speak.
First off, this is how it goes, right? The man is the general. The woman is the field commander, okay? The general's out there working, busting his butt, doing what he got to do to bring home the bacon, right? Field commander is the one who will tell you what's going on in the home, what's going on with the kids, what's going on with the bills, what's going on, whatever is happening in that home. That's it. It's not a slave, drug dredging, stuff like that. I thought this woman is out to lunch, and she said she looked at the Bible. Now, I'm not trying to force religion on it, but it's a book, and if you read it from the old and to the new, you'll see that there's laws and commands for both genders, and he has to work, he has to be kind to his wife. I don't see where you're going from woman to being the head of the man, but that's not the way it goes. I mean, women will be offended by the fact that certain parts about the woman was easily manipulated and stuff. I'm sorry, but and that's why she can't be the head in churches. But the facts are the facts, okay? I mean, look how, I'm not saying nothing bad about women, but look how it is to manipulate women with feminism. The movies now. Look at the Marvel movies. Look at the last one, Endgame. All right? And they all came together, right? And just handed whatever the device was to Captain Marvel. You could clearly see the liberal agenda there. All right. Even looked at the Captain Marvel movie, which was garbage. And you can just see that movie was utter trash. Completely just feminist agenda all over it. And you can see how women could be manipulated by that. Now, I'm not saying that, oh, well, women can't be leaders and stuff. Look, there have been plenty of female warriors throughout history. Let me tell you about Genghis Khan's granddaughter. All right. In those days, you had to wrestle a man. If you wanted to marry a woman, you had to wrestle them. You lost, you had to give them a horse. All right. Genghis Khan's daughter, let's just say she had a stable after she was done. There are many female competent warriors throughout history, but all in all, they understood that there's a natural order of things. Those who actually understood, some were just as loony as this woman right here. But all in all, they understood certain things. Other cultures, they understand that the man is the head and he's the leader. And the woman is there to complement him. You know, they talk together and make decisions. Unfortunately, in those cultures, you have toxic men in that culture too. And sometimes could even be worse because some of them could be ruling kingdoms and they could be very tyrannical or probably delete the woman if they didn't feel or want that woman anymore. Henry VIII is an example. Okay. But that does not mean the system and the dynamic is bad. It's the people who are there that make it that, you know, don't do a good job of representation. It's kind of like a company. The company is good, but the problem is the people that work at the company are trash. Okay? That's the problem. I'll give you a perfect example, all right? With Mahatma Gandhi, right? He was turned away by Christian. And he was saying about when he was asked, well, why don't you have a high opinion of the Christians? He says, I like their God, but I don't like the Christians. That's it. Why? Because at that time, the British and the Indians, the British treat Indians very badly. Okay. Sometimes even the missionaries, and even the missionaries in other countries, even they had slaves and did horrible things, especially to black slaves, but they thought they were good. And that's why some black people, even today, they hate Christianity. Was it because of God, or was it because of the people that claim to represent God? All right. Even with the Crusades. All right. A lot of a lot of Muslim people do not like Christians because of the Crusades. Was it because of God, or was it because of the people who claim to be of Christ were chopping them up, and rounding up Jews and burning them in synagogues? Which was it? It was the representation. It was the people who claim to be good people who claim to be good men, and they end up doing horrible things. And that's why you have some women who will fall into feminism, some women who will hate men. And this will always be a demographic of income for these type of grifters. That's it. And she's feeding into that. Once again, grifters are going to grift.
On leadership because I was commissioned as an officer in the Army. And I went to Army Officers Logistics, Army Logistics University out there in Fort Lee, and I got my commission as an officer. And let me tell you something. When I was a buck private, the government took care of everything. They bought my uniforms, bought my shoes. They told me where to go, this, that. that, and the other one. When I crossed over to officer, I was on my own. No support from the Army. It was all on me. And then I had to sign for all of my platoon's equipment. I was responsible for all their stuff. The male don't want to be responsible for nobody, not even himself. He wants to blame her for everything and then say, I'm the leader. Baby, if you the leader, it's all on you. It's you. And if you can't control your behavior, which the majority of y'all can't, then let that woman lead, since all of the responsibility is on her.
How about teach the woman to pick a better man? Sorry, that's it. Some instances, some of you all picked a man that things will fall apart because of him and you will leave. All right, it's understandable, but I think this woman is terrible, giving terrible advice. Just really is. And if you pick that man to lead you, what does that say about you? Again, a lot of you women who want to lift up these women, you don't want to take responsibility for picking these men. You don't want to take responsibility. For men, we got to take responsibility. We pick a woman that drives us crazy. We pick a woman that makes us angry, toxic, does screwed up crap to us, and we got to eat it. We got to take that responsibility. But when it comes to women, all of a sudden, you got to understand, you're men, and we're women. We're innocent. We don't know any better. But you want equality. Get the hell out of here.
On her anyway.
So would you say that women, when it comes to controlling behavior, can act on emotions in the heat of the moment?
No, actually, let me tell you something about women and men's brains. We all have something called the orbital frontal cortex that exists in the prefrontal cortex, okay? The orbital frontal cortex controls behavior. It controls impulse. It controls emotions. The woman's orbital frontal cortex is larger than her amygdala, which is where emotions come from. The male's orbital frontal cortex is smaller than the woman's and smaller in relation to his amygdala. Y'all have a chemical called testosterone in your brain that once it rises, it cuts off the orbital frontal cortex's job, which renders y'all impulsive. You're not able to control your anger and your behavior, right? Okay. So women are more emotionally expressive, men are more emotionally reactive. Now, when I get to talking about science, a lot of people tend to shy away from that. But if we're gonna be facts, let's go to the factual things that are indisputable. Men cannot control their emotions. They can't control it. Hence why you have people going to schools, shooting up the schools. You have domestic violence, and you got men literally just killing themselves, right?
This one is okay. That is not all men. All right. A lot of this, what she says, is twisted and made to make men as these animals. All right. And once again, you're not talking about why are you women picking these men? Because a lot of these women are lusting after men who got all this muscle and brawn and charisma, bravado, but they don't look at the core character, if they got good character or not. Okay. That's another thing. And once again, she's only pointing to a demographic of men that she's been around, men from the hood.
Women have more control over their emotions. The only thing that differs between...
And another thing, she's been in the military. So how do we know she wasn't going around being a super freak in the military? You all heard stories about these women in the military being super freaks, sleeping their way to the top. You all... Look, there's a lot of things that go on with women in the military. A lot. Some freak dick stories and some that is really bad.
You and women is males know more about women than women know about men. And because of this level of ignorance, she's making decisions off of emotion. But if you put this woman in the know, everything changes.
So you're 37 right now?
Yes.
37. I'm sure you've seen the movie I'm Gonna Get You Sucker.
You know what? I have, but I don't even remember it because
Well,
I was so young.
I'm gonna say one part, where a lady was leaving work and a dude was bugging her, and she flipped out, going crazy on him, and she blamed it on cramps. So they were jokingly talking about a woman becoming president, saying, "Hey, if she's too young, she still gets her period." That moment right before her menstrual cycle starts, it's like, biologically, it's like emotions come from cramps, from frustration of dealing with this biologically. Do you feel that's not real? That will happen like in real life, in a real world scenario? Like,
No. I never said that we don't have emotions and things that go on physiologically. We all do. What I'm saying is mind over matter. You all have seen wushu martial artists. You've seen what they can do with their body. Yeah. Mind over matter. What's going on with you chemically has less impact if you have a wise mind and know things. What I am saying is this: when you put women in the know, when you make them intelligent and you put them on game, the decisions and behavior changes. Men depend on women being dumb, right? Which is why they want young chicks who are impressionable, like old boy said on that.
Some men,
yeah,
but other men may not want
that. The majority, because no.
So what if a woman what if a woman wants what if a woman wants a younger man? Now what? That's crazy. This is the backwards nonsense that we have in our society. Men are being shamed for wanting younger women. Maybe because these young women are a little bit more fertile. Yeah, you do have men that probably want to, take advantage. Just like you got older women that want younger men because they could play them around with, wrap them around their finger. Okay. So what the heck is she talking about here? That's what I'd like to know.
Oh, seriously, because men are predators by nature. Y'all hunters, predators. Y'all have to get resources. Y'all fight for resources. You compete for resources. And however you get your resources, you're going to pluck the easiest one. So the more docile and the more ignorant and naive a particular prey is, the easier it is for you to get your hands on it. When you put women in the know, it makes it more difficult. Men don't want difficult stuff. A lot of them are lazy. They don't like challenges, right? They want it easy. So let's just keep it a buck, because you got these dudes who don't have no social skills. They ain't the most attractive. You don't think that they are jealous of the guy that actually appears to get things easy, right? Everybody like microwave stuff. Right? But if you can get your needs met for low cost, who ain't gonna do it? The majority of people will. And I know male nature and what they need. And they need that little thing between these women's legs. And they gonna get it the easiest way they can.
Oh, man. All right. You mentioned the military.
Yes.
You served for 8 years?
Yes.
8 years. Did you want, I know your father was military, correct?
Yes.
You wanted to go to the military?
Yes.
Being in the military, and I don't know how the military works. You went through Army, correct?
Yes.
It's co-ed, men, women?
Yes.
I'm just curious, your thoughts. When you see the might of the military, the American military, you see men, you see women, and things like that. Do you feel like if it was, let's say, an all-woman military, and I don't mean as much as like, just there's men over here and there's women over here.
Let me tell you something. I've heard stories of men who talk about how women, when they couldn't carry the equipment, they had to have sex with some of the male soldiers in order to get favors done to help carry that equipment. All right. There's a lot of things they're not talking about with females in the military, from the fact that some of these women get assaulted, from a lot of the fact that, some of these women end up losing their lives. A lot of these women who become leaders sometimes put the whole male platoon and their fellow female soldiers in jeopardy.
But do you feel like we would be at war as much if it was just women running, let's say, the government, the military?
Well, first and foremost, you got to understand male nature. Remember, this is, again, we are in patriarchy, okay? The nature of a male is competitive. It's territorial, okay? And it's conquering. That's the nature of a male. We are in a patriarchal system run by men who want to conquer territory. So they're always going to start wars. Women would not start wars because the nature of a woman.
What is this? Most women never read a history book. You don't know about these evil queens? You don't know about these evil rulers, these evil female warriors? Huh? What about the Azandi warriors? What about those women? They made a movie about them, The Woman King. What about those African women? All right. That was capturing men and using them for human sacrifice and selling some of them to slave traders. Huh? Those women loved war. What the heck is she talking about? She never opened a history book in her life. You in the military? Aren't you supposed to be studying great warriors? Woman's got me. Man, listen.
Woman is egalitarian. If you put women in charge in their natural state, there would be no wars. The only reason you have a war is because it's men trying to run and own the planet.
Wow. I wonder if she will debate a woman that actually knows her facts. Okay. And actually will talk about females who have been warriors and women who have done horrible things in war. What about that woman that was worked in the gas chamber and she was assaulting both male and female prisoners in those internment camps? And she was only like, what, 22 when she was executed? Huh? What is wrong with this woman? I don't get how these women want to talk about this stuff and not do history. All right. What about, Cleopatra? Okay. What about that? She didn't start a war? Who drove a wedge between Mark Antony and his former ally Octavian? What about that? And getting Mark Antony to sleep with her when Mark Antony was already married to somebody, which was Octavian's sister? That didn't start a war? But if women ruled, there'd be no wars. Wow. Women don't have ambition. Women don't want to conquer either, huh? Right. Women don't get involved in wars, right? So I guess Joan of Arc doesn't exist.
That's the problem, right? We think we want to have this conversation as if men and women are similar. Men and women are very different from each other. There are more differences than there are similarities, right? Women get offended by that because they think different means better. No, different does not mean better. It don't mean worse either, right? Men exist in a survival mentality. They're always there. They never get out of it, right? So they're always trying to conquer a space all the time. All the time. All the time. You can't go nowhere and it just be peaceful with dudes just chilling. They always trying to conquer something, right? So you got to put males in a place that allows them to conquer. You don't bring that energy into the house. The problem is everybody trying to domesticate the male, right? And we're putting men out front to run everything. If you don't want wars, which men can't exist in peaceful environments, they're going to start some shit, right? They're going to start it. You put women in charge, you would have less wars, but if there are too many men, they're gonna try to run and
Listen, lady, you full of crap, because I have worked in places where women were in charge, and there was a lot of beef between the women. A lot of beef. What is wrong with you? Women don't act catty. Women don't get jealous. Women don't want to try and have power trips and plot and scheme. Wow. She has to be feeding into a very uneducated demographic of women, especially Black women from the urban community. She can't run this crap with women who are actually genuinely honest and will tell the truth. Because there have been many women throughout history that have done some really underhanded crap, okay, to people. All right. You got Queen Azinga. All right. Her brother killed her son as soon as he became king. And for some reason, her brother died of mysterious circumstances. And then she killed her brother's son. That was evil. There's also reports of the fact that she had a harem of men that had to dress like females, and that these men would fight to the death to sleep with her. And after she done sleeping with that man who won, he would be executed the next day, and this process would happen all over again. What are you talking about, ma'am? Please tell me, what are you talking about? Where are your facts? Where are your sources for what you are spewing right now? All right. There's a woman by the name of Elizabeth Berkeley. Because of her, all the young women all of a sudden just disappeared. And the only reason how they found out what she was doing was because the population had a decline. She was sacrificing women and bathing in their blood to keep herself beautiful in her eyes. Okay? What are you talking about?
conquer the women's spaces, every space on planet Earth. And even if they conquer everything on planet Earth, they're going to try to go under the ground and get something. And they're going to try to go outside of the galaxy to go conquer some more stuff. I mean, that's the nature of, yeah, that's the nature of a male, right? Yeah. You know?
So, oddly enough, every woman that I know personally that has gone to the military, no matter the branch, has dealt with sexual assault. I don't know one woman personally.
Okay, so let's look at all these women right here. Let me just put this on the screen real quick. All right. Second. All right. She says that if women were in charge, everything would be peaceful. Here are a list of all the female conquerors: Catherine the Great, Zenobia, Grace O'Malley, Maria Theresa of Austria, Isabel of Castile, Temogozin, Joan of Arc, Artemisia the First of Caria, and Lozin. Okay? What is she talking about? I mean, what universe is she saying that women will be peaceful if they were in power? What universe? All right, let's look at like Joan of Arc right here. Joan of Arc is a patron saint of France, honored as a defender of the French nation for her role in the siege of Orleans and her insistence on the coronation of Charles the Seventh of France during the Hundred Years' War. Joan of Arc is not just a legendary female warrior, but also a Roman Catholic saint. Joan was but a girl when she had visions of the archangel Michael that drove her to do, a lot of. I'm not gonna, read all the details, but you can find that out on your own. All right. But she did a lot of nasty things. Okay, when it came to combat and war.
That has been to the military that did not experience that. Why do you think that is, and why do you think women continue to go to the military if they know that this is a large possibility of their career while they're there?
Well, everybody has their different reasons.
I can never understand that myself. Why the heck are you going to join an organization where basically the women are outnumbered by men, and the fact that you risk being SA'd? I don't get that. I really don't. I've heard stories of one woman that was my coworker, and she told me about how her daughter had to sleep with knives, as well as other female soldiers. They had to sleep with knives because they were afraid of getting SA'd. Why do that to yourself?
There's a lot of SAing going on in the military. I didn't personally experience that. I have a different energy. Like when men are around me, it's almost like I'm one of them. They take me in as one of them. They don't even really, quote unquote, see me as a woman, I guess. I never had that issue, but a lot of women do have that issue. My reason for going, I can't speak on everybody else's reason, specifically women, but my reason for going, I had a really rough childhood, right? And I didn't come from a loving background, right? My grandmother, she used to put me and my brother outside, kick us out all day. She wouldn't feed us, right? I've lived on the streets. I've been kicked out, I've dealt with psychological and emotional abuse, physical abuse as well. So when I turned 18, from the time I was 15 all the way up to, I just couldn't wait till I turned 18 so I could leave the house. So I joined the military on my 18th birthday to get away from the trauma that I was dealing with at the house. Some people go for that reason. Others go because they want to go to school, right? Because they market, getting this bonus money to pay for your college and things like that.
Okay, so now we're seeing that her rough childhood is what is basically
some people want to go to get
what is basically molding her to say the things she says and molding her thought patterns. How could she be a wife if this is how she grew up? How could she be a wife? Look at how she grew up. Of course, she resonates with those who have been traumatized and don't want to get therapy. That's it. And they'll be justified in their dysfunction. Men are the problem. You men are it. I could treat men any way I want because you men. I'll still sleep with you, and I don't really have to vet you guys because, it's you men. You're a problem. You get me pregnant, but it's all your fault. It's your fault I'm a single mother. It's not like the fact that I just opened my legs to you and I just let you hit it raw. And I didn't, take any responsibility. I didn't take any stock in finding out if you could support me if, I busted a couple of kids from you, And I'll just do it again because I got welfare.
the experience. Everybody has their different reasons for wanting to go. I knew people who joined the military because they wanted to die. They hated their life and they just wanted to die. And so they wanted to go to war, right? So I can't speak on everybody's reasons because they vary, right? So sometimes trauma can make you find a safe haven somewhere else. For me, it was like, okay, I don't know anything about the world. I would rather go to the military where I feel like it's going to be safe, where I can learn some skills to function in the world as opposed to be out on the streets knowing nothing and be prey and ain't no telling how I'm going to come out. So I chose to go to the military. And if I had to redo life all again, I'll go back again, regardless of all of that, because no matter what, if you're living life, it's always going to be something, whether it's the military or out in the street or at a corporate job, you're going to be faced with that because you're dealing with humans, regardless of what environment you go in.
What would you say about the Bad Girls Club? A whole bunch of women in the house and they get to fight. Why do they do that?
Oh, well, again, we're dealing with altered women who have assimilated to patriarchy, right? And
Again, this issue. They get mad when men are always blaming women, and I call men out for that. But when they do it, all of a sudden it's okay. It's okay. No, they're doing this because they're catty. They don't have nothing better to do. It's a dysfunctional home environment. That's why they're fighting each other. That's why.
And then you also have to deal with cramped in environments. How cramped is the space? Because even when you look at Universe 25, John Calhoun's Rat Utopia experiment, once the space got so cramped, right, with the mice, they started fighting each other, biting off each other's tails, a lot of that stuff. So humans living, they need space, right? So if people are cramped in a space, it's definitely going to be some fighting in there, and it doesn't matter. But if you're dealing with women who are chasing penis and who fighting over men, that's another dynamic, and that deals with psychological programming at that point. So it just depends on what we actually talk about, what they fighting over. Is it because it's too cramped in, or are we fighting over males? Right. Well, you know how that production went, you know what I mean? So fighting over resources, right? Nobody's sharing anything. There's no co-ops. There's no community anymore because every man for himself, every woman for himself. And that is the production of a capitalistic society. That is not the nature of a woman, though. So it's a multi-layered issue.
This is some stupidness I'm hearing right now, but I'm gonna cut it off right here, man, because this is just nonsense I'm hearing right here. This is ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. All right. That's not the nature of a woman. It's not the nature of a woman to be territorial when they got a man. It's not the nature of a woman when a man is around that belongs maybe to your sister or your coworker. You guys are not going to try and get that man. If he's handsome and he's attractive, you're not going to try and spill dirt or some tea on that woman to try to get that man. That never happens, right? Oh, but that's all the man's fault. It's the man's fault. Man, I'm going to cut this off right here because I'm getting disgusted right now. Hope you all enjoyed the stream. I'm also on Rumble, Radical Thought 791. Anything else you want to know about my channel, you can check it out in the description box. Like, share, comment, and subscribe later.